We're back here, the half empty cup, Joe and Jason on this Thursday. It's our final show of the week. Remember, you've got about 2.5 hours to get your where is the London gold price going to settle today at the end of day today. Whoever's the closest through our YouTube channel, you will be getting a 10th ounce American Gold Eagle, and I guess the closest without going over. But we're talking Robert Kiyosaki, and he's reiterating his stance and kind of moving up his timetables as well. When it comes to silver, he sees silver at $500 in the next decade. I hope that's not right. I truly do. But he says that he thinks we're going to see $100 silver and then $500 silver, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, real estate, all crashing as predicted, the middle class being wiped out. Jason, I've been talking about that for a long time, and we're seeing it. I mean, let's face it. Illinois, as an example, 1 in 6 people are on food stamps in Illinois. I mean, this just kind of tells you all that you need to know. Silver to stay, kind of in the 20s range for the next 3 to 5 years. That's where he was in September. And Jason, he's kind of moving that timetable up now, saying, it may not be that long. And then climbing to 100, then even 500. Everyone can afford silver, even the poor. Accumulate silver now. He's got a guy, right? Like for us, Jason and I, we're your guy, right? We're who you call when you need your gold and silver. And he was just letting people know, hey, I called my guy. I can't get gold or silver coins. The mint won't sell me anymore. Listen, this is a story we talk about it all the time, right? The shortages where the mint's just simply, let's face it, it's the mint not ordering enough product on purpose. But neither here nor there. It means the end of fake money is here. Protect yourself. Then he went on to talk about how he owns his own silver mine. Now listen, not all of us can own our own silver mine. And by the way, silver mines come with their own headaches. But he started talking about Elon Musk and saying that, hey, every one of his businesses burns silver. He's like, Elon Musk is going to end up buying his own silver mines. And then he went on and talked about, silver premium, which, by the way, silver premiums, they're still hot. But they're off of the highs of the year, Jason, by about $4. I mean, it's off a good amount. But he said spot price of silver is low. Losers complain about silver's high premiums. Spots low because of price manipulation. Be like Elon and me. Pay the premium.
Quit worrying about it, Joe. Here's something else I think he's looking at, which I haven't heard in the article yet, which he started buying in the 70s, and he was a soldier in the Vietnam War, and he bought his first ounce of illegal gold in Vietnam and brought it home because you weren't allowed to own it. I think it was 73 when he bought it, or 72. If you look at 1978 average price of gold for that year is $542. And in 1980, you see the spike, and we all know about the Hunt brothers and the spike, but this was an inflation-driven economy. Things were really rough. It was very similar to what we have today. We have the debt on top of it. Our debt could drive this scenario I'm putting forth, and I think Robert Kiyosaki is looking at. The average price of gold in 1980 was $20.98, $21, a fourfold increase. So if you take our $24 an ounce gold right now, Joe, and you do a fourfold increase next year, you could easily see $96 silver. I say gold, silver. $96 silver, Joe. Maybe it does come back after that, but I sure see the same kind of clouds that, I didn't pay bills. I wasn't an adult in 1980, 1978. But these are the same situation. He's got to be looking at the same thing with the inflation and everything that happened in that time versus now. We have the additional debt, which, Joe, that who knows what that can do. I mean, that $500 number he put on silver, that could be $100 just for the inflation. It could go to 500 because the debt makes it so impossible for anyone to buy it.
Well, I'm going to say this right now. Yesterday, we were able to do some things with specific dates. Today, you get what you get. Okay. Got silver up again today. U.S. Silver Eagles, $760 a roll. Whatever date you get, that's the date you get. $760 a roll. That's the same price as yesterday. I'm going to hold the case price too. Case of Silver Eagles, you're going to save some money. $18,750, a green monster box. And again, today you get what you get. But again, right, losers complain about the premium, Jason. I got to say this. This is the lowest the premium has been all year. So a great time to buy. 800-951-0592. And again, for some of you, you're like, hey, I don't have $760. I've got rolls of silver dimes. They're $120. I've got rolls of silver quarters. They're $240. I've got rolls of silver half dollars. They're $265. We've got something that can meet your needs. There's no doubt about it. 800-951-0592. And we're still running those 10th ounce gold Eagles. Those are going to be at $240 today. Also 800-951-0592. I've got two lines open. That's it. If they fill up and you get the voicemail, just keep trying us. Jason mentioned earlier about the Fed, talking the big inflation game, but man, they really, and I agree with Jason, they want that inflation number to fall, even if it's temporary. They really aren't trying to fight inflation that hard. And if you look at their balance sheet, Jason, we've got a problem. So the Fed has been telling us, hey, we're going to be selling, $45 billion a month in June, July, and August. And then starting in September, they were supposed to sell $95 billion. And let's just keep the math simple. $100 billion in a year. Their balance sheet would shrink by $1.2 trillion. Well, come to find out, the Fed just posted their latest FOMC balance sheet. Something's not adding up, Jason, in the quote-unquote quantitative tightening department. We'll talk about that next. 800-951-0592. Joe and Jason, Patriot Radio News Hour, final show of 2022. And Jason, I'm not big on the big predictions. I like to kind of tell people, hey, I think when the bottoms are in, where's the next, as an example, I talk about 1840, right? 1840, that's a key level. We're going to cross, when we cross that, we're going to see another big leg up. And why I keep telling everybody, man, buy gold before it crosses 1840, because you're going to save yourselves, $50 to $100 an ounce. It's just that simple. That's just what's going to happen. But just to give perspective, when Kiyosaki says $100 silver, right now, if you look at the gold to silver ratio, which has really been extremely high. Right now, the gold to silver ratio is about 76. 76 ounces of silver for 1 ounce of gold. That puts silver or gold at 7,600. And I always said, and everyone's got a different number. Some people say 50 an ounce. Other people have different numbers. I like 65 myself. That's the number that I kind of think Hey, at 65 ounces of silver to 1 ounce of gold, I think silver's fairly priced. Anything above 65, silver's undervalued. Anything below it, I think silver may be overvalued. But even still, at 65, you're still talking 6,500. At 50, right? Silver's, goes to 100. Maybe all of a sudden that gold to silver ratio comes in. But at 50 to 1, Jason, you're still talking 5,000 gold. And at 500, hey, that math gets too complicated for me.
Well, it could come out. It could go to 20 to 1, Joe. And that's where in the far past in our history, it was 20 to 1. And actually, it could go there, Joe. And I can tell you that. And it's been a while since I've seen this fact, so I don't know what's happening now. But recently, pulling silver out of the ground, it's been only 10 to 1 to gold lately, which means everyone's across the world, they're really trying hard to find silver. They're not looking for gold. They're looking for silver, Joe, 10 to 1. It's still, I think, a ratio historically about 20 to 1 pulled out of the ground, 20 ounces of silver for every 1 ounce of gold. But recently, Joe, the last, I think, 5 years, 10 years, it's 10 to 1, which means they're looking specifically for silver, Joe.
But yeah, it makes sense, right? You look at what Kiyosaki was saying, and he used Elon Musk as the example. Hey, all this new technology stuff needs sort of burn silver, right? It just uses a ton of silver. So keep that in mind. We've got phone lines opened up again here, 800-951-0592. So we told you what the Fed said that they were going to do in reducing their balance sheet. If you want further proof that the Fed really doesn't want to fight inflation nearly as hard as they're pretending, just look at the plan, right? Which was, hey, 3 months of 45 billion, and then we're going to go to 95 billion. Now, 95 billion, that's a lot of billions. Right? That's a lot of money, right? We talk about FTX. It's an $8 billion fraud, which was a lot. This is 95 billion. But just to get the balance sheet at 95 billion, just to get the balance sheet back to where it was before COVID, it would be almost 8 years. So they really weren't fighting that hard to begin with, right? At this 95 billion. But here's the problem, Jason. According to what they said they were going to do, the balance sheet should have shrunk by $560 billion. So we know the Fed's balance sheet got to $9 trillion. It should be at, $8.4 billion in change right now. But it's not. According to the Fed's own balance sheet, Jason, they've only dropped the total balance sheet by $400 billion, which means that they're about $160 billion light on what they said they were going to do, which just tells you how big the problem really is. They can't even sell off $95 billion on a $9 trillion balance sheet.
And it is a little more complicated than that because there's a lot of buying and selling of these treasuries all the time. So like if we say that China sold off 100 billion in treasuries, that doesn't mean that they just had a pile sitting there and they just sold 100 billion. They might have bought 500 billion and sold 600 billion. I think what the Fed has tried to do, and because not all treasuries are created equal, right, Joe? There's different levels of quality on those treasuries. I think when they've been building up their balance sheets, I think they try to hold ones that are more appealing to buyers. So when they want to go to sell off the balance sheet, Joe, I think the idea is, well, we'll sell off these really good treasuries, and the ones that are buying a small amount here and there, they're going to want these. I think the problem that's happening for getting rid of their balance sheet, Joe, is there's too many sellers, and they're the only buyer that's buying the stuff that's probably lower quality treasuries, Joe. That's why there's such a problem with tapering right now, or they're trying to lower that balance sheet. I just think we just know this. There's too many buyers, Joe, not enough sellers. Or too many sellers, not enough buyers.
Yeah, other way around, right? Yeah, you're right. But again, and we talked about it, I want to say, was it last week or the week before, the pace at which China and Japan have become these big sellers of treasuries. China now, I mean, they're well below $1 trillion. Heck, they're getting ready to go below $800 billion. And we're still waiting. You know, there's words now circulating. The petro yuan is coming. That people are saying that China may actually pull this off and get Saudi Arabia to start taking renminbi for crude oil, which would mean, Jason, hey, there's another couple of $100 billion we could probably get rid of in treasuries because we don't need dollars to buy oil anymore. It's an interesting problem. But again, kind of fits what Robert Kiyosaki is telling everybody, doesn't it? We'll be back with the final segment of the year. 800-951-0592. Silver. We got silver dimes, 120 a roll. You get 50 silver dimes at 120. Silver quarters at 240. You get 40 silver quarters, or $10 face value. $50, you get 20 of those, right? Another $10 face value, 265. Rolls of silver eagles, $760, which you're not beating that anywhere. And then a case all the way down. I say all the way down, $18,750 for the case. And right now, silver approaching the highs of the day here, up about 40 cents, 24.25. Silver's now up 8 at 18.24. And again, now that's a February contract, by the way. That silver price, that's a March contract in New York. In London, silver's up, or gold's up 11, 18.16, and silver's up 43 cents, Jason, at 23.93.
Say that one more time. I was communicating with Jack as you were speaking.
Yeah. So in London, gold right now, spot gold.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Up 12 now, 18.17. Silver's up 45 cents, 23.95.
We'll see. I'm still hopeful we get that $8 by the end of the day, Joe.
By the way, I just saw this. I told you about platinum.
I saw platinum too, Joe.
Platinum's up $44, 1,050. Congratulations to all you guys that jumped on platinum. By the way, that's nothing. You ain't seen anything yet there either. 800-951-0592. Make sure you go to YouTube, become a subscriber, like our channel. Put in your gold prediction. Where is gold going to close in London tonight? That is the Kitco price. We're going to shut it off at noon Arizona time, which is also noon Colorado time, Mountain time. Right now, the Kitco price, the London price, gold's up 12.30, 18.16.70. $1,816.70, just to give you an idea. So the number's getting closer to Jason, and I always hate that, but
it could crash though. It could crash that last hour. There could be a sell-off.
We don't know, but it does look like gold's going to finish squarely above 1,800, and that's a great way to close out the year.
I agree totally, Joe. I just had a feeling there'd be a little bit of safe buying coming into the new year, because you never know how gloomy and doomy things could get starting in January, right?
Well, and again, think about this. People are like, hey, Friday, Monday, right? That's 4 days. A lot can happen in 4 days. And I think what most people are saying is a lot of things that aren't great could happen in 4 days. I better get a little more safety going into that long weekend.
Absolutely, Joe. That's just why I predicted the higher end. Is I just felt like, there's too much uncertainty. I think it seems like every time a new year comes recently, there's a lot more. People are just shutting their eyes and just squeezing their fists, just hoping that things get better, right, Joe? And that just makes people want to get into safety. And I think that's why you're going to see these metals on top of everything else go up in 2023.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, but really, I don't see a very good start to 2023 for equities. Get into those safer areas. You're going to be glad you did. God bless everybody. Listen, Jason and I, we're going to come back with the half empty cup, but we will be back next year, next Tuesday, with the first show of 2023. Take care.